Well, that starts the offseason of the Minnesota Vikings. It's a tough loss. It's so close for so long, and there were so many good things the Vikings did, and there were so many reasons to hope. They went on the road to New Orleans and played a tough Saints team and outplayed them. I haven't looked at the final stats. Game just ended 10 minutes ago, and I taped it, and I'm going to review some of that. But the Vikings had a lot more yards, and they were on the road, and they committed several turnovers, and they didn't capitalize on the Saints' only turnover, and it was still 28-28 when the fourth quarter ended. And in fact, it was 28-28 with the Vikings on the fringe of field goal range with about 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't pull it off. If the Saints play in the Super Bowl the way they played tonight, they will get waxed. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. You know, it struck me. It seems like the Vikings didn't just play the Saints tonight. It seemed like they played the Saints and themselves. With that many turnovers and some dopey penalties, too many men in the huddle, a professional football team should not commit that penalty. I'm sorry. That's never excusable. I'm never going to not love the Vikings, and I will always be a fan as long as they stay in the state of Minnesota. And I'm going to wear my Vikings gear to work tomorrow, even though they lost. And I will harass anyone who harasses me for it. But that is disheartening. As far as going to honor his contract and play a second year, I don't know. Will the Saints win the Super Bowl? I don't think so. Did the officiating hurt the Vikings in this game? I can't stand it when the fans of a team blame the refs for a loss, but I will say the refs did not help the Vikings. And I saw a few bad ones, and I was willing to admit that one of the bad calls went in the Vikings' favor, but I saw more than one what I thought was a bad call not go in the Vikings' favor and go in the Saints' favor, and that's frustrating. It's frustrating to go on the road in a conference championship game, one game from the Super Bowl, and commit 5 turnovers, and still almost win the game, not lose the game in 4 quarters. You do all of that, you don't need the other team getting any help from the refs. You just don't. Now, I saw a lot of good calls, and I think they're doing their best, and I don't think the game is fixed or anything dumb like that, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating that the Vikings lost at all, but it's especially frustrating the way they lost and how close they came. I'll be interested to see the final numbers, because there was one point where the Vikings had outgained the Saints by 200 yards in offense, and it was a tie game at that point. Fluky. I watched the game tonight, and I saw the way those players played on both sides of the ball, and they win that game 8 times out of 10 in New Orleans. The way they played, they win that game 8 times out of 10. It's the turnovers. The Saints made some good plays. The Vikings made more bad plays. Okay, and the Vikings made a lot more good plays also, but they made enough bad plays to keep the Saints in it. And that interception at the end of the fourth quarter that Favre threw, when it was 3rd and 10 and they were on the fringe of field goal range, and then it was 3rd and 15 for too many men in the huddle, and then an interception, give me a break. You run it on 1st and 2nd down and gain no yards, and then suddenly you commit a 5-yard penalty and throw it, give me a break. That was terrible, and it's a terrible way to go into the offseason, and that's going to be sour for months. That's all I got for right now.